Blitz, I think so very highly of you. I didn't realize you think so low of me.
Ugh. Brother, ugh. What's that?
Alright, so I'm not gonna lie to y'all, Hell of a Boss is actually a really interesting show to me. Because at one point in time, I genuinely thought with everything in me that this was going to be an indie animated show that I was really going to like. I thought it was going to be in the same realm of things like The Amazing Digital Circus or Metal Family. But then I grew up and I realized, the show kinda sucks. Not kinda, the show's kinda terrible. There's just so many things in this show that could have been amazing that lived up to absolutely nothing. A murder business run by demons doing hitman jobs? Who cares about that? Let's throw that in the bag. Really good character development between two characters that are in a relationship? Let's just regress all that. And I don't even want to talk about this guy, he just feels like a fever dream at this point. Yeah, if you haven't figured it out yet, I am not a Hell of a Boss stan. But even with all the critiques that I have of the show, I never thought in a million years when I first started watching this show from the pilot that it would contain a character that I would just hate so much more than every other character in the show. And yeah, if you haven't figured it out, that character is Stolas. Stolas is such an interesting case study of a character to me, because if I'm being honest, in season 1, I didn't really dislike Stolas all that much as a character. I wouldn't go as far as to say that he was my favorite character in the show, but I knew that he was a fan favorite amongst the fandom, and I could kinda understand why. But over the course of season 2, Stolas quickly became my least favorite character in the entire show. So much to the point where it genuinely felt like I had to force myself to watch any scene he was in because I just did not like his character at all. And I noticed that I'm not the only one who feels this way, as a lot of people over the course of season 2 started to dislike Stolas as a character, or at least how he's framed in the show. So I want to go over the main reasons why I don't like Stolas and why I think he just kinda sucks as a character. So one of the biggest dynamics surrounding Stolas' character in the show is his relationship with his daughter Octavia. And look, the way the show frames it for a majority of both seasons is that Stolas cares about Octavia, but he isn't the best dad in the world. He makes mistakes, but at the end of the day, he cares about her, and that's what really matters. And you'll hear fans of the show say something similar, say something along the lines of, yeah, Stolas isn't the best dad, but he is a good dad. He cares about Octavia and loves her. And look, if we're all being honest, I kinda thought that too halfway through season 2, and then I went back and rewatched season 1 and half of season 2, and then I realized, no, Stolas is actually a terrible father. What is everybody talking about? I realized the only reason I thought Stolas was a decent dad is because I was only halfway paying attention to the show. When I actually sat down and rewatched all the Stolas and Octavia episodes, and paid attention, I realized that Stolas is a terrible father.
What a bad father.
Number 1, Stolas cheated on his wife, and look, is Stella a saint? Absolutely not. And however you feel on cheating, that's your moral priority, but one thing that we have to acknowledge is that Stolas cheating on his wife and publicly humiliating her caused his household to become a toxic environment for his daughter to live in. And I know there's some people that like to argue that their household was always chaotic, but there's really no evidence to show that. The only real scenes we get of Stolas and Stella interacting before Stolas cheated was in the episode The Circus. And while Stella is rude to Stolas in those scenes, there's nothing really showing that their problems seep over into their kid. But in the episode Lululand, we get full dialogue saying that Stolas ruined their household.
I just want to go home, but home doesn't even feel like home anymore. You ruined it.
Which is why I don't really understand the people that defend Stolas when it comes to him cheating. Because yes, it's clear that Stolas and Stella never actually loved each other. They were just together for political reasons and to have a kid. But after they had Octavia, Stolas could have just gotten a divorce, because that's literally what ends up happening anyway.
What the f was that, Stolas?
That was the sound of a divorce!
And I remember seeing people say way back in season 1 that Stolas shouldn't divorce Stella because that traumatizes a kid. Do you know what else traumatizes a kid? Having them grow up in a household where they have to watch their parents fight every single day. And on top of Stolas causing the chaotic environment that his daughter now has to live in, he also neglects his daughter. I talked about this in my Hell of a Boss is frustrating video, but after he cheats on his wife, he takes his daughter to Lululand to, I guess, cheer her up, even though she never wanted to go. And no, he doesn't just take his daughter like a normal dad, he also invites the person that he's cheating on his wife with and flirts with him the entire time in front of his daughter.
What?
Why, hello, my big Blitzy.
What the f dad!
Like, is Lululand one of the better episodes in the series? Absolutely, but I don't understand how some people look at this episode as a positive Stolas episode. Especially when I feel like the lesson Stolas should have learned at the end of the episode is not to neglect his daughter, which we know is something that he didn't learn because the very next episode centered around him and his daughter is about him neglecting his daughter so much to the point that she runs away.
You know, your dad's really worried about you.
Right, that's why you're here instead of him. He couldn't be bothered to keep his promise, and now he can't be bothered to come and get me himself. He'd rather spend his time just screaming at my mum. Why does he hate her more than he loves me?
Which I hate how that episode wraps up because there's like no moment of Stolas actually learning a lesson. The episode just kind of pushes this message of, oh well, he showed up and that means that he cares, so everything's all good. Which in reality, we all know that just showing up doesn't mean that you're actually a good parent, especially when you're neglecting your daughter for problems that you caused. But I can say this lack of learning was the only real bit of good storytelling that Helluva Boss gave, because I was so happy at the scene where Octavia pushed Stolas away. And I remember when this episode first came out, there were some people confused at the idea of why his daughter would do this. But genuinely, really think about it, Stolas rushing in to save Blitz was the good thing to do because he did ultimately give Blitz to the grimoire. But at no point did Stolas try to explain with reason, did he try to push blame on someone else. He was just prepared to take the fall for everything. He was even gonna let himself be executed. And at no point before any of that did he think about his daughter. It was only after he was told that he was going to be banished to live amongst the citizens of hell did he actually think, oh man, I have a daughter, what about my daughter? And that's the problem. This is why this guy is a terrible father. His daughter is always a second thought in his head. Like, it genuinely would have been terrible writing if Octavia would have somehow embraced Stolas again for the third time for being a neglectful, terrible father. But outside of him being a bad dad, another aspect of Stolas' character that was just terrible to watch throughout the course of season 2 is how the writers just made him a gigantic hypocrite. I don't know why, but when season 2 came around, they dived headfirst into this Stolas and Blitz relationship, which, I mean, I guess is cool. I don't think it should have been the main focus of the show, but I think we could have got some interesting episodes out of it. But when the episodes The Full Moon and Apology Tour dropped, oh my, bro, it was like I was watching a complete story assassination. Because if you listen to what Stolas was saying throughout the course of these 2 episodes, you would have swore you were watching an entirely different show. For some reason, Stolas was portrayed as in the right and as a victim to Blitz in these 2 episodes, which could have been done correctly because Blitz isn't the best person in this show. So it could have been very believable to the audience, but the way they chose to go about it is to just ignore all previous character dynamics that the 2 had before these 2 episodes. And by doing this, Stolas comes off as the biggest hypocrite and liar that I have ever seen in my entire life. The biggest moment that I could just never wrap my mind around is that they actually had Stolas say that he never looked down on Blitz, when literally all we have to do is go back a couple episodes and we have countless footage.
Get off to getting plowed by people you look down on.
I don't look down on you. How many times do I... When have I ever... Sound fair, my little imp? You are so cute when you are serious. Who dare threaten my impish little plaything? Who said that?
And you know, you would think with Blitz being on the receiving end of all this and knowing firsthand that the stuff coming out of Stolas' mouth just isn't true, you would think he would push a little bit harder, give more pushback, and emphasize that Stolas is being a massive hypocrite. But no, he just doesn't do that. For some reason, the narrative in these 2 episodes just allows Stolas to be a massive liar that doesn't get corrected. And I've genuinely seen people trying to defend these 2 episodes saying things like, well, Stolas' character is a hypocrite, but this was the writer's way of showing that. But that makes absolutely no sense because that's not how writing works. Like, if I write a story and there's a good guy and a bad guy, in order for the audience to know which is which, I have to distinguish them. So I have to show the good guy being the good guy and the bad guy being the bad guy. But on top of showing their actions, the narrative of my story has to also show which is which. So if I write a character and his character trait is that he's a liar, the narrative has to also support that he's a liar. Characters have to call the character out for lying, otherwise it seems like he's just giving truthful dialogue. dialogue. And this really brings me to my biggest gripe with Stolas. There are so many moments in this show where Stolas should be called out for his actions, being a bad dad, being a bad person, being a liar. But the show just doesn't really do that. Stolas continues to get coddled and portrayed in a decent light. And even when he gets some type of consequence, it feels like it's not even a real consequence. Like, yeah, he lost access to his daughter, but now he also gets to move in and live with the person that he loves, and they get a happy Christmas. You see how stuff for Stolas just kind of balances out? And if the story isn't just balancing out his consequences, they just make him a victim for absolutely no reason. In no world should Stolas have ever got an invitation to the Blitz hate party, mainly because Blitz didn't do anything to Stolas. Like, out of everyone in that room, Stolas had no reason to be there. But even knowing that fact, Stolas doesn't just get an invitation, he also gets a musical number, which is just diabolical work. Like, I was just staring at the screen when all this was going on in disbelief. But yeah, I do not like the sad owl boy, which is so crazy because I can tell from how he's set up narrative wise that I'm supposed to like the writers want you to like Stolas, which is so crazy to me because Stolas comes off as the most insufferable, unlikable character in this entire show. But I know there's some people that are just diehard Stolas fans for whatever reason, and if you're one of them, let me know in the comments why you like him so much, I guess. But yeah, this is probably gonna be my last Hell of a Boss video for like ever. I'm really pulling a sarcastic course with this one. Unless the show just magically becomes interesting, I don't really see me talking about it anymore. But hopefully Has Been Hotel Season 2 can hurry up because I'm on every episode with that one. But if you made it to the end of the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and until then, it's been your boy Corin, and I'm off this.